Hello, my name's Alan Kerry. Welcome to another podcast from the South Essex GP Training website. With me I have Sunil Gupta. Today we're going to discuss the Mental Capacity Act. Can I start by asking you, Sunil, what the definition of capacity is?
Capacity is the ability of an individual to make decisions regarding specific elements of their life. A person is able to make a decision for him or herself if he or she is able to meet all of the following criteria. They understand the information relevant to the decision, they retain that information, they use or weigh that information as part of the process of making the decision, and they can communicate their decision whether by talking, using sign language or any other means. Vulnerable groups include people with dementia, learning disabilities, mental health problems, stroke and brain injuries, temporary impairments due to medication or illness, substance misuse and neurological disorders.
Thank you. So who's affected by the Act?
So the Mental Capacity Act 2005, the people who are affected by it are all people over the age of 16 with reduced capacity, all staff who work with people with reduced capacity, and all other carers and advocates who care for people with reduced capacity. The legal framework of the Act is being supported in these ways: by a code of practice, by the new Office of the Public Guardian, by lasting powers of attorney, new Court of Protection, independent mental capacity advocates, and a new criminal act where it's willful ill treatment or neglect.
So what are the 5 principles that should govern considerations of mental capacity?
The 5 principles are: 1. Always assume a person has capacity unless proved otherwise. 2. Appropriate help must be provided to support individuals to make their own decisions. 3. Individuals must retain the right to make what might be seen as eccentric or unwise decisions. 4. Apply best interest principles, i.e. everything done for or on behalf of someone without capacity must be in their best interest. And 5. Before doing something to someone or making a decision on their behalf, consider whether the outcome can be best achieved in a less restrictive way.
So what might trigger an assessment then?
You should start from a presumption of capacity, but the doubts as to an individual's capacity to make a decision can occur because of things like the person's behaviour, their circumstances and concerns raised by someone else. And in terms of who's responsible for completing assessments, it's all professionals working with people over 16 in health and social care.
So can you talk us through the 2-stage functional test of capacity?
There are 2 basic questions to consider. 1. Does the patient have an impairment of or disturbance in the functioning of their mind or brain at this moment? So if the answer to the first question is yes, the second question is the impairment or disturbance sufficient that the person lacks the capacity to make the decision needed at this time? You should always assess in relation to the specific decision to be made. An unwise decision does not necessarily indicate lack of capacity, and the more complex the decision, the greater level of capacity is required.
And finally, can you just talk through what's meant by the word restraint?
Restraint is defined as the intentional restriction of a person's voluntary movement or behaviour. In this context, behaviour means planned or purposeful action rather than unconscious, accidental or reflex action. The Act allows for lawful restraint as long as 3 criteria are met. 1. The person lacks capacity and restraint is in their best interest. 2. It is necessary to prevent harm to the person. 3. The restraint is proportionate to the seriousness of the likely harm. Nothing in the Act stops the person providing life-sustaining treatment or any treatment that she or he reasonably believes to be necessary to prevent a serious deterioration in a patient's condition.
Thank you very much. I hope you found that podcast helpful, and please check out the other resources on South Essex GP Training website.